It's ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there and welcome to CoreTV News on the hour with me, Sabina Izuku. The presidential candidate of the Alliance for Democracy, Rafiu Salao, says he is the best man among a host of individuals jostling to be the nation's #1 man for the 2015 general elections. During a comparative analysis of himself and All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari, the AD candidate says he is a better option and that not even Goodluck Jonathan can stand shoulder with him. Going further, he says he is in tune with the feelings of the average man on the street and that the nation will experience tremendous change and development under him if elected. The objective, according to the AD presidential flag bearer, is good governance and an economy that will cater for the need of all Nigerians, while the nation's oil revenue will be used for capital development. Salao added that his drive to develop the economy to a world-class standard will ensure that 50% of the nation's revenue will be generated from personal income tax, while also expressing his readiness to work with whoever is elected president in 2015 if he is not the winner. The 36 States House of Assembly have endorsed financial autonomy for state legislature. The lawmakers also voted to separate the office of Attorney General of the Federation and that of the Justice Minister. Chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State House of Assembly, Samuel Ikom, disclosed this while handing over the report of the Constitution Review process to the leadership of the National Assembly. Senate President David Mark, however, dropped hints that the state legislature turned down the proposal for local government autonomy.
It is not every time that state legislators turn up at the National Assembly, but they did on Friday to hand over the outcome of a process that was handed to them after federal lawmakers had completed their own portion. And unlike the last Constitution Review process, the legislators opted for financial independence rather than continue to depend on state governors.
We have exceeded the requirement for the financial autonomy of state legislatures. We have also exceeded the required 2/3 for the strengthening of other institutions sought for, such as splitting of the Office of Attorney General from that of the Minister of Justice, creation of Accountant General of Federal Government Office, and strengthening of the laws passed by the legislature as well as the resolutions, amongst other things, actions we have agreed to, as will be seen when this submission is analyzed.
And although the Speaker was silent on other key proposals, including local government autonomy, the Senate President dropped some hints.
It doesn't matter how many times we amend the Constitution, it doesn't matter how often we rewrite the Constitution, unless the operators are prepared to go by the Constitution, it will be absolutely meaningless.
Senator Mark commended the state lawmakers for exhibiting the necessary courage to cut off their dependence on governors. He also issued an admonition to political office holders on respect for the Constitution.
So I think that that was one of the areas where, in the First Amendment, the state assemblies didn't have the courage to do it. But I must congratulate you because that is very key. One of the other areas which I think we asked you to approve was local government autonomy. I don't know whether you've had the courage to do that, but if you haven't had it, there is no problem with it. It's a continuous exercise.
With what we received today, it's a confirmation that the legislature is working and the necessary amendments that met the requirements will actually be passed. So we are inching towards improving the Constitution so that at the end of the day, we can now say this is a constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria by the people of the Nigeria.
Now that the document is back in the National Assembly, the onus is now on the federal lawmakers to forward a clean copy to President Goodluck Jonathan for his assent.
Away from that, the former governor of Kaduna State and leader of the Conference of the Nigerian Political Parties, Balarabe Musa, said on Saturday that the future of Nigeria under the President Goodluck Jonathan-led government is gloomy. The former governor noted that the way the country was being governed showed that Jonathan was incapable of running the affairs of Nigeria, arguing that even the president's sympathizers had come to terms with the reality. Musa, who claimed that neither the All Progressive Congress nor the People's Democratic Party could produce the president in 2015, said his party, the People's Redemption Party, though deregistered by INEC, had gone into merger with other political parties to form the next government. The leader of the CNPP, who is the national chairman of the deregistered People's Redemption Party, spoke to journalists during a meeting with 26 state executive committee members of the party on Saturday in Kaduna State. He said there was no difference between the PDP and the APC, urging Nigerians to reject them as none of the parties were credible enough to take Nigerians to the promised land. He added that the PRP had since instituted legal actions against the Independent National Electoral Commission for deregistering the party. The All Progressive Congress has strongly condemned the acts of intolerance by Gombe State Governor Ibrahim Hassan Dakwambo, who the party says has been working hard to obliterate the APC presence and also victimize its members in the state. In a statement issued in Lagos on Saturday by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed, the party said the governor's action when he visited Kashere, the hometown of his predecessor, Danjuma Goje, on Thursday, were despicable and barbaric and shall be condemned by all right-thinking people. Dakwambo, according to the APC spokesman, personally ordered the removal of all parties' billboard and posters in the town, ordered the police and the army to break into Goje's family house, where they broke down doors, tear gas, and arrested his relations, including children. The APC described as cruel irony the fact that the PDP, which has been busy criticizing the APC for fielding an old man as a presidential candidate, is home to a man who was born in post-independent Nigeria but has chosen to behave like a 19th century emperor. And away from that, the worry over godfatherism in Nigerian politics may not die anytime soon. As politics gather momentum ahead 2015 general elections, some seasoned politicians have been accused of using their towering influences to position their wards as candidates for various elected positions on the platform of the parties. One of them is the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Lai Mohammed, who was accused of using his position to ensure that his son, Folajimi, picks the party ticket as candidate to contest the Lagos House of Assembly election in 2015. Even though the IPC spokesman has repeatedly denied taking advantage of his position for the benefit of his son, it appears there is more work to be done to convince the majority that Folajimi merited the party's candidacy for Lagos House of Assembly election. The son of the APC spokesman says he is a man of his own and his emergence on the scene has nothing to do with leveraging on his father's political strength. He also assured Lagosians of total commitment.
It's a double-edged sword. I'm enjoying it and I'm not enjoying it. Everything is dynamic, it changes. As the issues come, we all tackle it. As the change needs to be, we will implement it. However, right now, what is very peculiar about my situation and my constituency is just one single thing: poverty. And to the best of my ability, I'll try to alleviate it.
Military authority says it is too early to confirm the number of insurgents killed in a failed attack on the power holding company of Nigerian engineers working to restore power supply to some parts of Borno State. Some reports had suggested that soldiers on patrol killed 75 Boko Haram members around Bulamburin village near Damboa, but the figure is likely to be higher. Defense headquarters said in a statement that an ongoing mopping operation will determine the number of terrorists who died in the encounter with troops on Friday. It however confirmed that a large number of terrorists died in the process, while the explosive device-laden Hilux van was destroyed. The military says troops also captured a Hilux van earlier stolen from the Boko Haram in Borno State Ministry. I beg your pardon? The Hilux vehicle earlier stolen from the Borno State Ministry of Education, but now repainted and rigged up with an anti-aircraft gun. All the weapons recovered by troops include rocket propeller grenades and rifles. 2 soldiers also died in the encounter. The military, meanwhile, says army engineers who have been clearing EIDs, that explosive devices, and effecting repairs on bridges have repelled an attack while working on the bridge around Usara. Several terrorists were said to have died in the encounter, while 4 general-purpose machine guns, 3 rifles, and 2 rocket-propelled grenade launchers were captured. 1 soldier, however, died, while the other were wounded in the encounter. In another development, troops have been conducting air and land patrol of towns in Adamawa State, including Mubi, UBA, Uba, Garkida, Muva, as part of the coordinated counter-terrorism operations to clear the insurgents operating in the state. The United States says it remains committed to helping the federal government in tackling the threat of Boko Haram and other extremist organizations to the country. This is contained in a statement issued by the Public Affairs Department of the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria. It said the U.S. government has also restated its commitment to support Nigeria's effort to rescue the abducted Chibok girls and all others who have been abducted in various communities. Particularly condemned in the strongest terms the attack on Gumsuri village, Borno State, which was reported to have been perpetrated by Boko Haram. It expressed concern that this year alone, Boko Haram had murdered thousands of innocent people in vicious attacks on schools, churches, and mosques. According to the statement, Boko Haram attacks have resulted in displacements of hundreds of thousands of Nigerians. And away from that, we'll just take a short break, and when we return, the 13-hour talks between the striking oil workers, which culminated in the suspension on the recent strike. President Goodluck Jonathan has issued a stern warning against that organized labor must stop using industrial actions to punish Nigerians. Do stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical, women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can reach us on a social media platform on facebook.com/CoreTV News and on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, on our YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV live space and then news. Following the 13-hour talk between the striking oil workers, which culminated in the suspension of the recent strike, President Goodluck Jonathan issued a stern warning to organized labor to stop using industrial action to punish Nigerians. In what appears a direct response to the president's warning, the General Secretary of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Bayo Oluwashile, says the suspended oil workers' strike was surely an issue-based action meant to salvage the people of the country from lingering poverty. Omotayo Lord took him up on developments surrounding the suspended strike and brought back this report, which is presented from our studio.
The dwindling global oil prices have more than enough exposed the underbelly in the Nigerian economy, which is largely dependent on oil. The nation has over time been bedeviled with unceasing strikes which most often than necessary leave the people suffering over fuel scarcity. The Pangasan chieftain Bayo Lowoshile admitted that the effect of strike on the people is painful, but it is a necessary evil that must produce good fruit. The rubbishers claim that the strikes are used to pursue selfish agenda.
Because we are not always on the streets, we allow our issues to build up. We've been having a lot of discussions, and there are communiques to back them up with the government on various issues affecting the industry. And on this year alone, we've had about 6 various meetings. And we had expected that within certain timelines that we have set for ourselves, some of the issues will have been resolved. But we discovered that we are going into 2015 still carrying the same burden of challenges. And the industry is crying, bleeding on some of them.
What rarely is a problem in the industry?
Even Nigerians know that the industry is sick. And there are a lot of national questions around why things are not working here. When you look at the other sectors that are less important and they are getting quite a lot of attention. So, and they know that the real drivers of the economy is the oil and gas sector. Look at the various state governments. They are saying that their revenue is being dwindling and they are unable to meet their developmental challenges. And all this money is also coming from the oil and gas. And they can also see very clearly, without anybody telling you, that prices of crude oil drop is already affecting how our budget is going to be managed and how government is really going to drive the nation come 2015.
Lowoshile advised Nigerians to stop looking at the oil industry workers as enemies of the country instead of playing politics with the issues at hand.
So these are not things that people should begin to fathom, things that really that are not as significant as these major areas of concern. So we believe strongly that we should not take trivial issues to becloud bigger pictures that affect the industry.
The problem, according to the Pangasan, time will obviously snowball into other sectors of the economy because of the large reliance on oil.
Up to today, Nigerians can see that we are almost totally dependent on importation of petroleum products, whereas we are selling our crude at any price that the international community is dictating it. And we can also begin to look inward and say that, can we have our means of optimizing the benefit of hydrocarbon resources by having our own strategies, just like other countries like Ghana and the rest of them have been able to minimize their dependence. Small countries that are producing just about 18,000 barrels or 30,000 barrels per day are doing better.
So where do we go from here?
And the more we talk about these things, the more we are able to find a solution to our problem. And because we are keeping quiet, because those that are supposed to lead in this discussion and be able to initiate directions are not reaching out, and we are getting worried. If we keep quiet, before you know it, everybody will lose their job and there will be no hope.
The nation will, in the face of continuous downward slide in the prices of oil, battle for solutions including resorting to the non-oil producing sector as austerity measures take shape.
Despite the suspension of the 3-day warning strike by all workers earlier Friday, commuters in Ekiti State are still agonizing over fuel scarcity. The situation is getting worse, especially in Ado-Ekiti. Long queues at petrol stations have become the order of the day. Motorists and commuters have accused petrol stations owners of hoarding fuel. For their part, the petrol stations owners are blaming the crash of the naira at the foreign market for impediment in the importation of the product. Rashid monitored the situation in Ado-Ekiti and filed in this report.
As the Yuletide season draws near, businesses as usual are expected to record bumper sales. For petrol stations across the country, the 3-day oil workers' warning strike suspended on Friday had positioned them for naira harvest, as scarcity of the product always comes with inflated cost. This was the experience in places like Abuja, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and some states across the Federation. The ongoing fuel scarcity in Ekiti, however, leaves much to be desired, especially ahead of the Yuletide. In Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, many filling stations are under lock and key, while the few that have opened for business are either not selling or dispensing the product amidst long queues, leaving consumers in agony. Tempers flare as commuters and consumers of the product in Ekiti accuse fuel dealers of hoarding.
Na Ekiti states, na only Ekiti states. The other states, where the other states, it dey Akure, it dey Osun State, it dey Lagos State, but na Ekiti generally no fuel.
We are not hoarding fuel. If you have fuel, we sell it. If you don't have, we don't have. That's for our own station.
So, what then is the reason for the ongoing scarcity of the product in Ekiti after the oil worker strike has suspended?
The landing cost of the fuel now is high. So for the stations to buy at the higher price, pay for the transport of 7 naira and bought the fuel for 91 naira 50 kobo to make it 99 naira or 98 naira 50 kobo. And people who expect you to sell it at the rate of 97 naira, they found it very, very difficult. So nobody is doing his business to run at loss.
The development has left many commuters who are traveling for the Christmas celebration stranded at motor parks across the state capital.
I guess there's no fuel or something. I don't know what's happening.
And what do you feel like?
I guess Ekiti generally has a problem because I don't know why there's no fuel, why there's fuel in Lagos. I don't know their problem.
Now what
now I can't wait for me to just get to Lagos.
Obviously, there is the expected price to pay as transport fares have shot up, leaving commuters with many more complaints and bitterness.
Expecting it to be like 1,250. Suddenly we are hearing 2,000 naira. And it's not really good by us. We are not liking that actually.
But even if you have a vehicle now, which is going to take 2,000 from you, will you?
No choice, because I got to get my house, get to Lagos actually.
And for the Ekiti people, it appears that tough times are beginning to surface even as the belt tightening measures as a result of the dwindling oil prices lurk in the corner. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Well, still in Ekiti State, but in a different note, Governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, who famously won his election last June by distributing stomach infrastructure to voters, has carried on with his policy into Christmas season. Between Thursday and Saturday, he had distributed over 80,000 birds and 100,000 bags of rice to Ekiti citizens, according to a statement from his press office. It also doled out cash, according to his chief press secretary, Idowu Adelushi, while some besieged the governor's office to collect the lodges, others and theirs delivered to their doorstep. On Saturday, as early as 10 a.m., Fayose and his team started distributing packages to the people who kept steaming into his office. He later moved to the marketplaces with some packages, designating all the 16 local government areas as centers for distribution. Fayose told journalists that what takes priority in his heart daily is the welfare of the people of the state. Asked why he gave out cash, he said they need to buy pepper, salt, Maggi, palm oil, etc. to cook the chicken. Those who benefited are widows, the aged, pensioners, traders and artisans. He said the exercise will continue until the Christmas day, adding that teachers will take their turn on Monday. Fayose appointed a special aide on stomach infrastructure when he assumes office. And away from that, ram dealers at the popular Kara market on the outskirts of Lagos have blamed the rise in the cost of livestock to the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast part of the country. They spoke against the backdrop of complaints by Nigerians over spiral rise in the cost of foodstuffs ahead Christmas.
Market no move at all. Everything dey silent. Every people they talk about money. Then they talk about politician. They don't release anything. So everything dey tight. And Boko Haram they cause everything. Because everything where they come from north, they high.
This year market they fine. But we dey think say market they move because since now market is not full market. So anybody where you want come buy, make you quick come buy market.
It's moving gradually, but people have not been coming in so much as we're supposed to expect. It's better the government should see something to do to it, because due to the messes, people are complaining so much.
And that's it for this hour. Do join us at the top of the hour for more. I am Sabana Izuku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.